Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So it has been a while since we've talked about 2024, and originally I was not going to make any videos on 2024 until after the midterms, and it's kind of been a little bit of a slow midterm cycle recently to the point where I'm not entirely sure that we can do it, because I was going to do a prediction blitz this month as I am every month, but not a lot has really changed, and we haven't had any new metrics, polling, like certain candidates that are rising or falling in a significant amount for me to say, hey, it's time for a new prediction. So we'll do a prediction blitz in April, early April, and 2024, we'll bring back a little bit of the 2024 commentary this month because it's still going on. And, you know, you still see debates online. Oh, should Trump run? Should Trump not run? And we're not going to be discussing that in particular in this video. But, I mean, we usually like to do some prediction maps on this channel. My first ever video was a prediction map. A lot of you guys like to see them. So that's why we're going to be doing a Trump versus Biden prediction map. And people will say, why Trump and why Biden? Because Trump, he basically is running again in 2024. Everybody knows it. I mean, there's no reason for him not to unless he's like in serious legal trouble, which hasn't really transpired yet. Or he actually just has like a health condition. He won't run then. Biden's 82 years old in 2024, but still, they'll trot him out again if he's still alive because he's the best they can do. And Kamala Harris will still likely be the VP because they're not going to replace her for optics reasons. Oh, wow, you're replacing this black woman VP? Like, you're racist. That's what they're going to say because that's how the left views it and they want to appease their own base. So Biden will run again. He'll keep Kamala. It will be a long shot for them at this point. Regardless of big tech, regardless of media bias, election laws, etc., it's not going to matter in 2024 at this point. At the rate things are going, it would take a miracle to save Joe Biden's presidency. And even though a lot of people said maybe Ukraine could help him, it's not helping him so far. So this is the video to tie you guys over between the last video and the Russia-Ukraine conflict video I'm doing next. But first, before we do the prediction, I have to tell you guys about my good friends over at Noble Gold. Now, The Economist financial newspaper has said the stock market lost over $1 trillion so far this year. You heard that right, $1 trillion. Facebook has fallen out of the top 10 stocks, and all the markets have the jitters. Like you, people are worried, really worried, except those with gold and silver as their backup plan. They know that with the precious metals IRA, they're going to be fine. And Noble Gold has thousands of clients who have safely invested with them. Most heard an ad like this and called the experts, not a call center, but the specialists, who'll give you your options. And for the month of March, with any qualified IRA above $20K, you'll get a 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin or a 5-ounce America the Beautiful silver coin for anything over $50K. You know what to do. Call 877-646-5347 now to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. Again, noblegoldinvestments.com. So we're going to fill out the safe states first. You guys know how we do this. Again, we'll fill out the safe blue states. All the West Coast and Hawaii will be safe blue. Illinois will be blue. New York, Vermont, all these states down here. I could see like Delaware get competitive potentially if Biden was not the nominee. I'm not saying it would be like up for grabs, but I think it could like get within 10. I mean, Hillary only won the state by 11. So it wouldn't be far-fetched to say that Republicans could get it within 10. But any other states that would be in the safe column, Maine's 1st district. And I think Colorado is moving towards that safe status regardless. But the way things are going, maybe we'll just put it in the likely column just to be safe. So now we'll move on to the safe Republican states. We have the Mormon Belt up here. We have the Great Plains states, everything except for Nebraska's 2nd, which we'll get to later, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, just the deep south, Indiana, Missouri, West Virginia, South Carolina, Alaska, and we will now be introducing Iowa, Ohio, which almost were safe red last time, but probably will be this time given trends in the way that Biden is imploding, as well as Maine's 2nd district. So 149 safe out of the gate to begin with. So we have now 198 electoral votes that are currently up for grabs. We will move on to the likely Democrat column. We already filled out Colorado. Now we will be filling out the state of Virginia. The state of Virginia will likely get closer, in my opinion. The growth is kind of stalled a little bit. Democrats are kind of maxed out. If Biden is really tanking, he'll lose some of those swing voters that he got last time. And it's not going to be competitive or even as competitive as it was in 2021 for the gubernatorial election. But it's possible that Youngkin goes out there and he reforms the election laws a little bit as well. It's not really going to make that much of a difference if he does, probably. But you could see Virginia getting closer. It'll be like a 7-point Biden win or so. So we also have the state of New Mexico. New Mexico could be even closer because of oil. Oil is a big problem. I mean, it is a big industry in New Mexico. A lot of people didn't believe Biden was going to go out there and shut down the pipelines, but it affected him in the state. And you're seeing with New Mexico and some of like the southeastern part of the state, some of the Hispanic trends there, but also just in general, Biden probably will bleed a little bit of the, support that he saw from white independents in Albuquerque. And the border crisis isn't going to help him in the Southwest. We understand that. So the border crisis, oil, these are issues that will affect New Mexico, Texas, Arizona almost exclusively. So that's pretty much it for the likely blue states. Let's move on to the likely red states. Texas. We're going to start off with Texas. Texas, a lot of people are saying it could get closer, and it's possible. But with Biden and the Biden gret, it's very possible that Texas could end up going into the Republican column and obviously it will go into the Republican column, but I mean by like more than it did last time. Let's look at Texas. Let's look at where the shift was in a lot of these suburbs. And we saw Houston kind of round a corner. It only moved left by 1, despite the fact that the nationwide popular vote moved left by around 2 or so, 2 to 3 points. So Houston trended right, and you see all these trends in the southern part of the state. Tejano voters. These voters are not your typical Hispanic voters. They're third, fourth generation. Their families have lived there hundreds of years, and that's kind of why they're shifting so far to the right in a lot of these places, because they have, more pride in their American or Texan identity than they do their Mexican identity, because they're not exactly Mexican, despite being Hispanic. So you have the Tejano shifts. Some Tejanos live in the metros, not as much though, but you also have Collin and Denton. Collin and Denton probably still move left, but you could see like Tarrant County or Dallas County kind of turn a corner. You can't even find Dallas County here because the shift wasn't entirely as notable. I think it was like a few points, but how much can Democrats really continue to grow in these places in suburban Texas? I mean, the only way that they're going to really improve is if you have that mass amnesty. But I don't believe that's going to happen, because I do believe Republicans are going to take the House by then. Hopefully they actually stand their ground, which is not something that is a given, but Texas will probably stay in the Republican column easily. Same thing with Florida. I think Florida is going to move to likely status. A lot of these people, these disaffected Northeasterners, they're fairly conservative. White boomers mainly are moving from places like New York, New Jersey, even the Rust Belt to a certain extent in Chicago. They're moving to Florida. And Trump did better in Florida in 2020 than they did in 2016. DeSantis is making it a stronghold. That's what we need to do in Texas. We need to do it in Arizona. We missed our opportunity with Huffines, but hopefully Abbott can be pushed to the right a little bit, given the fact that around 35% of the primary electorate voted against him, and hopefully Arizona can get Kerry Lake in there. But Florida, looking at Florida and what we see just Miami-Dade County, a massive shift to the right. A lot of these, Cuban voters, these Venezuelan voters, Puerto Rican voters, as well as white working class voters in the Panhandle from 2012 to 2016, they're continuing their movement over to the right, which is interesting. And Republicans, they didn't exactly put all that effort into Florida that they usually do. I mean, neither did Democrats, but hey, they won the state by almost 4 percentage points. I think Trump's going to win Florida by like 5 to 6 this time around, honestly, if not even like by 7, because the state's identity is truly changing. Florida is turning into a red stronghold, and you can thank Donald Trump for that, by the way. So 219 to 209. Likely Republican states. Are there any more likely states? I think Wisconsin's going to do it, and I think Wisconsin's going to surprise and shock a lot of people. There's just so much room to grow from the quote-unquote fluke of 2020. Still, Republicans doing very big numbers in a lot of these rural counties. They're going to keep doing big numbers. In fact, they're going to do bigger numbers, and then there's so much room to grow. If you look at the county map, like a lot of these counties that are like pink are going to get little bit to the darker pink and into the red. And what we see in the WOW counties, you saw Trump kind of hemorrhage support. Personally, I think that in 2024, he might see a little bit of a rebound given Biden's unpopularity. Even if they trend to the left, they're going to swing to the right because trend and swing are two different things. And there's so much room to grow among white working class voters in Wisconsin. I think he's going to win the state by like 5 at this point. Obviously, things are subject to change, but Wisconsin, it's moving to the right significantly, and I think that's going to continue. So Wisconsin, that'll be likely Republican in my opinion. So we'll move on to the lean states. Lean, you know what, actually put Maine at large into the likely column, even though I think it's going to be like Biden +6 this time around instead of Biden +9. But in terms of the other states, we'll start off with New Hampshire, and we'll just work our way west. We'll finish with Nevada and Arizona, as is tradition on this channel. So New Hampshire, I think that one could be closer. I think that actually New Hampshire, you might even see it flip. Again, it really depends. New Hampshire is a very anti-war state. If Biden actually does decide to go through with war with Russia and Ukraine and put troops on the ground there, it's not going to bode well for him. It's an anti-incumbent state, very libertarian, and usually presidents campaign on being less authoritarian in some ways than they actually are. So it's going to affect Biden. I think New Hampshire, it's going to come down to a couple hundred votes. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's going to be a very, very close state. Personally, I think Trump might actually take it given the way that the Biden administration has been moving. So we'll add New Hampshire to Trump's column. Pennsylvania, Biden's quote-unquote home state, Pennsylvania. We talk about Pennsylvania. And Biden rebounded in northeastern Pennsylvania from 2016 in Luzerne, Lackawanna, a little bit Monroe, some of these counties. I don't think that's going to continue. I think that's going to stop because of the way that his policies have been affecting these people, inflation, just the attack on rural Americans, the support for globalization that drew them away from Hillary Clinton. Biden's not going to be able to play this fake moderate card anymore. He has a record. Pennsylvania is going to go for Trump by 2+, regardless of whatever happens in Philadelphia at this point. So North Carolina, I think we're going to put this as lean to likely Republican, honestly. I mean, this is a state where Trump won it originally by 3 to 4, and then he won it by 1 to 2. The national environment moving back, potential rebounds in suburban Charlotte, even if it's not that much, as well as continued rural trends and trends in the northern part of the state, as well as in Robeson County with some of the Lumbee tribe there that really came out for him in 2020. I think North Carolina is going to stay in Trump's column, if not going to move into the likely column. So, Georgia, we get to Georgia. So Georgia is a state that has been moving away from Republicans for a while. If you look at the trends in suburban Atlanta, we talk about the mass migration to Atlanta from a lot of black voters who live in Chicago and Detroit, as well as the fact you have a lot of younger liberal millennials that are moving there as well. And Georgia's a really interesting case because I do believe that the suburbs control the way the state moves. I think Trump could do a little bit better in the suburbs than he did in 2020 based off of a rebound. Even if they trend to the left, they're going to swing to the right. They're going to move to the right, even though the national environment moves to the right by more than the suburbs are moving to the right. That's exactly what it means. But it's all going to come down to the suburbs. I think it'd be a very close state. I think Trump could win it, honestly, if Biden's approval rating is down, if he gets enough swing voters on his side. But it might be the last time a Republican ever wins the state of Georgia for a very, very long time. I hate to be the doomer. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But that's the way I see it. As of right now, Biden is just tanking so hard to the point where, I think Trump could get Georgia in his side. But we'll just have to wait and see. Michigan up next. I think Trump would win Michigan. Biden's approval rating in Michigan is tanking significantly. Horrible candidate for the Rust Belt at this point. He was seen as the best they could do in the Rust Belt, and he still may be the best they can do. But at this point, I don't think it's going to matter what happens in Detroit with turnout. I think that the rural areas are going to overcome it. And I do believe that in some of the smaller metros and places like Macomb County and maybe even a rebound in places like Ottawa and Kent, that might be too much to ask for, but we'll have to see. I think the midterms are going to be, they'll tell us a little bit. They're not going to be super telling, but they'll tell us a little bit about what's going to happen. So Minnesota's a weird state, has not gone Republican since 1972 at the presidential level. They've only elected one Republican to a statewide office since 2002, and that was their, centrist governor in 2006. And maybe they could, Tad Jude is their attorney general candidate that's running for the Republicans. He's actually pretty base from what I understand. He's pretty solid. I think that maybe he might be able to go out there and pick off the state. But these suburbs, man, they just are just too far gone. You had your city burned down by those who were aligned with the opposition, and then you reward the opposition with an election victory in the state by a resounding 7 percentage points. Like, these people are too far gone, honestly, in terms of these white liberals that live in the Minneapolis area, the Minneapolis suburbs. Maybe you could see a little rebound in, like, Washington or Anoka, but even if you do get the Iron Range on your side, which some polls have shown that the Iron Range is really turning against Biden, it doesn't exactly seem to be the case that Trump is going to have a shot at, like, seriously flipping the state. I think it's going to be close, but I think that Biden is going to hold on for a victory by a couple of points. I'll put it in the lean column, Biden by 2 to 3. So Nebraska second, Biden, he won that by like 7 last time. They switched the district around, so it's a little bit more Republican, but I mean, I'm going to put that one as tilt blue. So Nevada and Arizona. Arizona was a state, and we know all about Arizona and what transpired, but looking at the results, it was razor thin. It was razor thin. It was essentially a coin flip, a toss-up, and honestly, this was in a D+4 national environment, with a president as Trump who had to deal with an economic downturn, global pandemic, election law changes, etc. With Kari Lake, if she's able to get in there as governor, maybe she could clean up the laws a little bit. But all around, I think that the state, if you look at Maricopa County, Republicans still have a high floor. They do. They have a high floor in the state regardless. Was Trump the best fit for the state? No, but Biden will have proven himself to be a worse fit for the state than Trump. It should come down to a couple of points, but I think that Trump will probably win back enough voters at this point to take the state and add it to his column. So I think Arizona probably goes red by a couple of points or so. Same thing with Nevada. Nevada moved right in 2020. It's funny. Arizona and Nevada are moving in two separate directions. The Nevada Democrat Party is imploding. We don't need to say it every time, but we kind of do because it's important to note. The demography in terms of education in Nevada is vastly different than it is in Arizona. And the Las Vegas metro area in 2020 continued its slight turn to the right and probably will accelerate that in the midterms. I think that Clark County might actually flip in 2022, and maybe it'll even stay red or still stay close in 2024, and that's all that counts, and the rurals will keep maxing. So, yeah, I think Nevada's going to flip, and this is going to be the final map. 316 to 222. Donald Trump is going to go out there and he is going to take the victory in 2024. The unbeatable Titan is going to return. Everybody's going to be coping, but we have to get there and you have to make it happen. You have to volunteer. You have to poll watch. We have a long way to go. The midterms are our first priority, but I thought I'd make this video anyways to tie you guys over. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.